Tonight on KGW News, a crash sends chickens flying across I-5. And it wasn't just road crews who rushed in. See the rescue efforts from animal activists. Plus, why was a suspected drug dealer arrested for pretending to be a doctor?
I thought, this is a great opportunity to try this out and explore the charge.
But first,
ONA will not back down.
the strike has ended, though it appears the fight is just beginning.
I'm very surprised and very disappointed.
Why nurses now say Providence hospitals broke the law. And we begin with what appears to be a brewing legal battle over that nurses' strike. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Tonight, the Oregon Nurses Association alleges the replacement workers that Providence brought in are professional strike breakers. Meanwhile, Providence says they were just thinking about their patients. Catherine Cook explains.
Friday marked the end of a strike and the beginning of a possible legal battle for Providence Health and Services. The 5-day strike involved 1,800 nurses from 3 locations: Providence Portland, Providence Seaside, and Providence Home Health and Hospice. During the strike, Providence recruited around 475 replacement workers through a company called U.S. Nursing Corporation. On their website, the company notes they provide turnkey staffing solutions during labor disputes and avert the majority of all healthcare labor disputes nationwide. The Oregon Nurses Association claims Providence broke state labor laws by bringing them to Oregon. State laws bar employees from knowingly using professional strikebreakers to replace employees on the picket lines.
The Oregon law is clear. Hiring professional strikebreakers is unfair, it violates the spirit of collective bargaining, and it is illegal.
On Friday, the ONA called on the Oregon Attorney General's office. They asked them to investigate Providence, U.S. Nursing Corporation, and the replacement nurses for violating Oregon law.
ONA is not claiming that Providence is forbidden from using replacement workers during a strike. In fact, that is why we provided a 10-day strike notice so that employers can prepare for a strike.
We asked ONA who they'd suggest hiring instead. They said traveling nurses who don't specialize in strike breaking.
I'm very surprised and very disappointed.
For their part, Providence says they did what they felt was right.
You need to remember we had 10 days to find a replacement workforce large enough to care for patients in 3 different divisions within Providence. And we did what we felt was the right thing to provide care to our community.
During that 10 days, did Providence make an effort to seek out a replacement staff that did not include this outfit?
I'm not going to comment on that.
As nurses prepare to return to work Saturday morning, the question remains, could there be another strike?
We have all options open to us as we move forward. Our focus right now is to return to the table and negotiate for a fair contract that our members deserve and that our patients need.
Providence tells us they look forward to returning to the bargaining table soon and that it could be as early as next week. As for ONA's complaint to the AG's office, Providence declined to comment, saying their legal team is waiting to review it. Back to you.
We'll be watching. Thanks, Catherine. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, police are investigating 2 shootings in northeast Portland tonight. In the first, 1 man was injured on Fremont near 49th Avenue. Police tell us the victim was taken to the hospital. They didn't know how badly he was injured. Officers detained 1 man near the scene, while police are not saying if he was the shooter. They do say they're not looking for any suspects. And we just learned a man has died in a second shooting tonight on Northeast Holiday at 6th Avenue. Homicide investigators are at the scene there. Police add the suspects fled and there have been no arrests. The red, blue, and green MAX lines have been halted since the incident happened right next to the tracks. Shuttle buses are now taking riders around that area. ODOT has now closed all westbound lanes of I-84 for bridge work at the I-205 interchange. This is near Rocky Butte Natural area. The interstate's going to remain closed all weekend before reopening Monday morning at 5. Check out KGW.com for the on-ramps that are closed and a look at the detour. And Oregon's minimum wage is set to go up next week. Starting July 1st, the hourly rate will increase by 70 cents. Now, actual pay varies based on where you live. For Portland, that'll put the minimum wage at $15.45 an hour. Other parts of the state, you see it here, $14.20, and the most rural areas will be at $13.20. In the Rose City, authorities seem to be getting creative when it comes to tackling the fentanyl epidemic since Measure 110 in Oregon made it harder to arrest people for drug possession. Now officers and prosecutors are looking at all available laws to get dealers off the streets. Mike Benner shows us how.
Meet Officer Eli Arnold. He's been with the Portland Police Bureau for about 6 years, the last 2 on the Central Bike Squad.
I primarily deal with street-level crime, which includes a lot of drug use, drug dealing, and the associated crime.
Officer Arnold was on the prowl for that on June 14th near the corner of Southwest 9th and Morrison, when he says he spotted a guy, later identified as John Baker Jr., dealing drugs. So Officer Arnold approached him.
Just appeared to be one of these sort of low-level dealers and had a little bit of drugs, but not a ton, and not really any money, and he had a story.
Officer Arnold says Baker told him he was dealing drugs to people who needed them to battle withdrawals. In other words, Baker was acting as a doctor. Problem is,
He told me he had not been to medical school and didn't have any prescription writing authority.
taking into account the small amount of drugs Baker had on him, just 2.1 grams of meth and 2 fentanyl pills, according to court documents, Officer Arnold arrested Baker for practicing medicine without a license.
He didn't have all of the markers we see a lot with a regular delivery case. And so I thought, this is a great opportunity to try this out and explore the charge.
Believe it or not, this sort of charging tactic is not unheard of. In fact, since the start of the year, the Multnomah County DA has prosecuted more than a half dozen people for trademark counterfeiting. These are people who stamped fake OxyContin pills laced with fentanyl with M30, ultimately infringing on the trademark of Mallinckrodt Pharmaceuticals.
I personally find it really just offensive, the selling fentanyl for $4 or something to a guy who's dying on the sidewalk.
And perhaps that explains why Officer Arnold is getting creative when it
Be
comes
safe
to
out here,
cleaning
okay?
up the streets. In this most recent case, arresting a suspected drug dealer for practicing medicine without a license.
I'll consult with the DA's office and see how they feel we should move forward with it. But it's something I'll keep my mind open to in the future.
That's Mike Benner reporting there. Meanwhile, efforts to change the laws to make it easier for police to arrest drug dealers and users are underway. We've told you about Portland's mayor's plan to try to outlaw public drug use. Now, a bill also just passed on the state level. House Bill 2645 targets fentanyl specifically. Anyone found with 1 gram or more, or at least 5 individual doses, could be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. Penalties include up to a year in jail and a fine, just over $6,000. It's now up to the governor to sign that bill. In international headlines, we are following significant developments tonight out of Russia and what appears to be the biggest challenge to President Vladimir Putin's leadership since Russia invaded Ukraine. It comes from the head of the Wagner Group. That's a Russian mercenary operation that's been complementing the Russian military in Ukraine, and its head, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Now, Moscow, where it's just turned 9 on Saturday morning, accusing Prigozhin of what it calls an armed rebellion. This is after Prigozhin claimed without evidence that the Russian military killed 2,000 of his fighters. Again, remember, they're supposed to be on the same side here. NBC News reporting Russia has blocked outside news services like Google News. We have not heard from the Russian president, by the way. Prigozhin is an oligarch who was also once Putin's chef.